Hey guys, so I just wanted to do kind of an owner's review. I see that a lot of people really like these videos when I had it on my car or even my dad's Grand Cherokee or his iX. So the difference between an owner's review versus like a car review is like it's from the perspective of an owner, and I do like a very good deep dive on everything you need to know about this car. So let's start with the first thing, which is obviously the model, right? So this is TX, and then the TX has different engine options and trim options. So this is mainly for the Canadian market. I'll explain some differences in the US market. I honestly think the US market, how they spec the trims out is very nice. So in the Canadian market, we have the TX350 all-wheel drive. So in Canada, the key difference is, as you guys can see in the snow, we only have an all-wheel drive option. In the US, you can get a front-wheel drive option as well for the TX. And then the kind of they made some changes for 2025, but in 2024, I believe there was no way to get an F Sport TX350. You would have to go to the 500H. Now for 2025, they have that option. And then within each actually, let's go back to the engine as well. So the TX350 is just a 2.4 liter turbo with an 8 speed. The TX500H is pretty much the Camry hybrid. So it's also 4 cylinder, non-turbo, and it's a hybrid. It's not a plug-in hybrid, and it's a 6 speed. So and then the other option that is not available in Canada but isn't available in the US is TX550H Plus, which is a V6 hybrid, which honestly, if that engine was available, I would totally get that. So the reason why we went with the TX350 is the price difference for a 500 is honestly a lot, because in Canada the 500 comes as an F Sport model, and it almost is a $15,000 option or difference, right? And honestly, for our type of driving, even though my dad does a lot of city driving, this is gonna be like a highway cruiser. And based on some reviews and some calculations on fueleconomy.gov, this car would actually be better on the highway because the 8 speed. The hybrid is a 6 speed, so on the highway you're gonna get much higher revs. And this is a very smooth engine. I drove both. They both drive very similar. The one thing I don't like about the 4 cylinders is they have that typical corporate 4 cylinder sound. But this car, like, even though it's not a hybrid, when you're idling or just going at low speeds, it sounds very much like a hybrid. It is a mild hybrid, so I think they use it for battery regeneration, and at like idle it's pretty much riding based on like the mild hybrid electric motor that they have. The So obviously the TX is a first model year. It's 2024. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wish they had the 550H in Canada. That would have been awesome. Also, let's go on the trims as well now. So in Canada, you start with actually the luxury trim. I believe in the US they have a base trim, and then they have luxury, and then ultra luxury. So this car right here is actually an ultra luxury. So originally I just wanted to get the cheapest possible car, which is a luxury, because I felt like the other upgrades were not really worth the price tag. But the ultra luxury actually has a pretty good array of features. So the main things were basically this screen here is fully digital. This The seats are pretty much the 18-way seats. It has an additional lumbar support here. You can see this Alcantara insert here. The digital view mirror, which is honestly really good for this size of a vehicle, considering if you're going on long trips and everything's stored all the way in the back, you definitely need that space. It also has the ambient lighting, which honestly, I'll be honest, it doesn't really add much. You can barely see the ambient lighting in this car during the nighttime. And I think that's about it. There's some additional other features like the app, which is pretty nice. So the good thing of the app is you can remote start, you can track your car, you can share. It has digital keys, so you can actually use your phone and Apple Watch as a key, which is pretty nice. And usually these kind of things Toyota and Lexus doesn't do a very good job, but I'm really surprised that the interface is really nice. So the next topic I want to talk about is the competition. So the main competitors to this car are obviously the Grand Highlander, the CX90. I would say the Volvo XC90 as well. So the good thing about this car versus all those cars is this is obviously much more refined and it looks much more updated. The XC90 of this current year is still like the 10-year-old option, right? The CX90 is obviously a new car as well. But this I mentioned this in my other videos. The size of this car is just enormous, right? And it the good thing is, like, although it is very big inside, it doesn't feel that big when you drive it. It feels just like a regular 5-seater SUV. In terms of maintenance, this car I would say is pretty maintenance heavy. Lexus is like that. So there's a maintenance at, I believe, 1600 kilometers. Then after that, it's every 8,000 kilometers. So what we did is, like, we actually got the Lexus ECP program. Yeah, you guys can hear just quick snippet of how it sounds at idle. It's very quiet. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of an important topic, is the insurance. So this was obviously, if you guys are from Canada, you know how Lexuses are in Canada. They get stolen like left, right, center. So we obviously called the insurance companies before we even purchased this car. That was kind of one of our agreements. Luckily, it seems like only the RX and the NX are on the high theft list. So, for example, if you were to buy one of those cars, you have to pay a 3K fine, and your insurance is almost $1,000 a month. At that point, I don't even know why you would get that car. But this car, compared to our Model Y, which I think it was like around $120, this is like $150 a month. So from Model Y to this, obviously it's almost double the price, and it obviously has a lot more safety features, so it makes sense. This car did come with the tracking system here. So I think it has like traceable panels. One thing the dealer recommended was to get the immobilizer. So this was really weird, and I don't know if other dealerships are doing this. So Toyota and Lexus does not warranty the immobilizer. So what dealerships are doing is they're selling like a third-party one. Most brands that I saw were CompuStar, and they're charging almost like $2,000, and they give a warranty. But then I've also heard from other people on the forum that when they get that, and if the battery dies or whatever, Toyota doesn't allow you to claim that. So, I started looking at third parties, and most shops are averaging around $500 to $700, and they give a 3-year warranty. Obviously, that warranty is just for the install. It doesn't cover, any other damages. So right now, we just went with as is. Obviously, this car has a tracking. I have some additional tracking, which I'm not going to mention on this car, that I have in place. And obviously the app is really good because it gives like live feedback on whether a window is closed, whether it's locked, unlocked, and everything. So that has a really good timestamp history of whatever this car has. In terms of modifications, honestly, I don't think we're going to do much. We got tints. I'm planning to do the PPF myself on this car. I don't want to go too crazy. I'm just going to do a strip here, another strip here. And this is like a disaster. That's why most companies, they charge a fortune to PPF this car. What I'm thinking is I'm just going to put like a strip here and then just lay some basic strips here, because I don't even know how like a PPF shop would even get in these grooves. It's going to peel up later on. I don't see any value in that. We want to look at getting like a roof rack and possibly some side steps. Even though it's not that high, it just kind of looks good with the car. What's really good is it comes with the mud flaps, and it also comes with really good all-season mats. I didn't know that was a Lexus thing, so that's very good. And they also give some nets and stuff at the back. In terms of detailing, obviously, I'd recommend a ceramic coating on this car, which we got from the dealership. We got that as kind of like we were able to negotiate it down. Yeah, I mean, Lexus paint is like superior. I used to work at Toyota and Lexus and help launch the NX, and paint quality is just insane. Just the last thing I wanted to go over is the overall build quality of this car. So as you guys can see again, this car is just very quiet. Like, that sound you're hearing is like half of it's like the HVAC controls. But overall build quality wise, I'm really impressed with this car. Obviously, it is a Lexus. The body gaps, everything are just so nice. One thing I really liked is, these door handles. Obviously, the E-latch is good. And one thing that You know, all the Lexuses now have is they have a dual strut hood, which is really good for maintaining this and also hood vibration later on, right? It's just like one of those premium things that, like, you know, BMW and Mercedes did, and I'm glad that Lexus stepped up. Overall ride quality, I would say it's really good too. I'm actually really happy that we went with the smaller rims. It looks, you know, pretty decent, and I think it matches the look of what we're trying to go for. Obviously, the F Sport cars are more, I think they're 22s, but obviously the issue with that is like you're gonna compromise your ride quality. And I drove an F Sport, and it does feel a little bit more stiff. It does feel more direct though, which is one thing that you'll get. But for our use, which is like, you know, just highway cruising, long trips to the US, Canada, all that kind of stuff, this car is just absolutely great. I'm really happy that me and my dad went with this car, because this is our first Lexus. We used to have a lot of Toyotas back in the day, but obviously this is a Lexus product, and it has its own set of quality. And I know there was a lot of people that were complaining on the forums originally. This, it looked like it was like kind of even though it was the first year of 2024 production, this looked like it was like built towards like the second half. So obviously a little bit more of the issues and lesson learns were already you know, solved. Obviously this is not a Lexus that's made in Japan, which I used to roast people about that. I was like, oh, why would you buy a Japanese product that's not made in Japan, right? That kind of defeats the purpose. But if you look at you know, the JD Power Awards and stuff like that, I used to work at the Toyota plant in Cambridge. That plant, they used to say, was the second best quality compared to Japan and all over the world. I had so many JD Power Awards. Indiana plant, I would say, is not the best, but it is pretty good, right? You know, at the end of the day, it's a Toyota and Lexus product. It's gonna have that staple of its brand identity. But yeah, thanks guys. Let me know if you've also purchased this car, and if, you know, what are the other cars that you guys looked at in terms of competitors. You know, any issues you've had, any things that I should look out for. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share this video.